Hello and welcome to episode 7 of McDuffie Minute, the podcast that brings you important information from the governments of McDuffie County, Thompson, Deering, the school system, and all points between. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Wells.
And I'm Jason Smith. Today we're featuring the McDuffie County's Cooperative Extension Service. We're here with Coordinator Allison Eaddy and Agriculture and Natural Resources Agent Sarah Cranston, and they've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up on things like Alzheimer's meetings and on the natural resources side of things, so to speak. So we're going to be talking to them. Now, for people who don't know, not familiar, tell me in general what y'all's office does.
So basically, what UGA Extension is we are just that. We are an extension of UGA. UGA is Land-Grant University of Georgia, and so what that means is that it was built for the people of Georgia. So we are the extension. We take all the research-based science from UGA and extend it out to the public. You can find our offices in all 159 counties in Georgia. And our job is to just get that wonderful research out to the community through family and consumer sciences, which is one of my areas, 4-H, which is one of my areas, and agricultural and natural resources, which is one of Sarah's areas.
Now, I know one thing you've got coming up is some local meetings about Alzheimer's. I know that's one of your focuses this year, and that's one of the things I know the Archway program we have in the community has been working with too. Tell us a little bit about that, when the meetings are and what the goals of those meetings are.
Absolutely. So what we're focusing on is brain health and dementia education here in McDuffie County. We are one of the pilot programs in the state, and we are very lucky that we were chosen for that, which is great. UGA has a care center, and what that is the Cognitive Aging Research and Education Center. It's a clinical research and outreach space where they deliver education on dementia risk reduction, conduct cutting-edge research, and provide planning and support for persons with dementia and their care partners. They've teamed up with Thompson McDuffie County, along with the Alzheimer's Association, UGA's Archway Partnership, and us, UGA Extension, to hold a series of educational seminars for those who are concerned with or caring for family and loved ones with Alzheimer's or related dementia. This month we had a program. It was held January 18th, and the Care Center talked about dementia prevention. We're having 2 more. The second one is dementia signs and symptoms. We're going to hold that Wednesday, February 15th from 12 to 1 at the depot, and the next one after that will be March 15th. It's going to be care partner support, and that's from 12 to 1. We encourage any and all to come. We're just asking that anyone who wants to come, just call our office at 706-595-1815, just to RSVP to kind of say, hey, I want to come, so we can have a head count for lunches.
Sure. Everything
is free. UGA will come, the Care Center will come down. Alzheimer's Association is actually going to be talking in the February seminar, so that'll be great. We just want to get the word out.
And these aren't specifically targeted to medical professionals or families that already have someone that they're dealing with Alzheimer's with. It's to anyone who may have an interest in the subject or a concern or wants to learn more moving forward.
That is correct. And actually, I did have a lady from the community come up to me and said that she wanted to be a part of it, but she was told that it would be scary and that she would have nightmares if she learned about it. And I said, no, ma'am, that's not what this is about. We are not medical professionals.
Sure.
We're just trying to get the word out there. And this is not something scary. We want to invite anybody and everybody. If you think you might know somebody, if you think that it might be something that might affect you or your family down the road, or if not, if you are just wanting to learn a little bit more about it, we just encourage you to come.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I do want to say this very personal issue for me. My father has Alzheimer's, and I knew when we started that journey, we thought we knew a lot, and there is a large information gap out there about what you think you know and what actually is true. So I want to thank you guys for doing this, and hopefully we can get the word out there and let other people know who might be struggling with this to come to these meetings.
Exactly. And, we had a good turnout. We had around 30 people, but we want to have more.
Sure.
Because the more the word is out there and the more people are informed, it won't be so scary.
Well, it also helps them build individual support groups. You know, if you make a connection with somebody else that means going through the same thing, that's always a good, you know, support system on the back end that you can just talk to somebody that maybe you feel a little more comfortable with. That's great.
Exactly right.
That's great. Now, Sarah, on your end of the world, there's natural resources, dirt, gardens, that kind of thing. Talk to us a little bit about what you offer on that end, some of the services you provide. And I know you've got a class coming up we'll talk about in a minute.
Yes. So anything outside is kind of my area. It kind of runs the gambit. So I can go do site visits. So that can include homeowners, or if a farmer's having issues, like if he's having problems with weeds in his pasture, I can come out and identify them and give him a plan of how to manage those weeds and get those down, so then the grasses that you're wanting to grow actually is growing and out competing the weeds. With homeowners, a lot of times what I go out to see is the plants dying. Can you help me with that? So I do lots of site visits, and people come in our office like they have something wrong with like their plant or something like that, and they're like, what's wrong with this, or can you identify it? I also offer a bunch of programs with horticulture. My background's in horticulture, so I do a lot of gardening and landscape classes. We've got some of those actually coming up, and we also do I've done a pollinators. Pollinators are a big topic recently. I'm going to do another pollinator class so people kind of understand that it's more than just bees. There's actually flies are actually pollinators as well. There's a lot of different things people don't realize. So I do a lot of different classes for anything outside, and I'm always looking for what people are interested in. So I base my classes on what calls I get or site visits that I do. All the classes are based on what the community needs or wants. So I'm all for contacting me and saying, hey, I would love a class on what native plants grow well here. So could do a class like that. So everything that I do, I try to base it on what the McDuffie community needs, because that's why we're here. We're here to help y'all.
So I know one of the things that's come up over the years is how not to murder your crepe myrtles. Can you address that?
Yes, the infamous, a lot of people call it crepe murder. I'm pretty sure it was in Better Homes and Garden about crepe murder. People always like to whack their crepe myrtles all the way back. They're kind of like a weed, and they'll come back from that. That's not ideally what you want to do. You just want to prune off certain branches, and you don't want to whack them all the way back. A lot of people want the more natural look, and to get that, you're not going to cut your crepe myrtles all the way back. It's minor pruning, not crepe murder, where you basically cut it down to just the stubs and then it starts fleshing back out.
Yeah, it's almost like you make the tree mad and it comes back with a vengeance.
Oh yes, it does, and then it sprouts out little baby ones too at the bottom's a little sucker. So
yes, they do. I have those.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to ask, what kind of cooperation do you guys have with the school system? I know we have agriculture in middle school and high school here. Just from my perspective, what kind of things do you do with the school system?
So I went into the high school for the ag teacher, and I did a class on pollinators for them to get an idea of what the pollinators are. And we then went outside to do what's called the Great Georgia Pollinator Census in August, where everybody in Georgia goes out and counts pollinators on a plant for, I think, 10 or 15 minutes. So we went outside and did that. And also last year, we actually did a big collaboration with the high school for all different types of agricultural and natural resources offices jobs that are available for students. So Allison had a conversation when we were at the cannery that a kid was like, yeah, I love agriculture, but there's no jobs. So that gave her a great idea that we need to get in the school and be like, there's actually many different opportunities just in McDuffie County for kids to be able to incorporate agriculture in their careers.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of agriculture in McDuffie County that people we know about the big ones, McCorkle's and Dudley, and even the dairy out in Daring Hillcrest. So there are really lots of opportunities for kids to grow up and get into that as a career.
Yep, and there's NRCS, so Natural Resources Conservation Services, is here too. Georgia soil and water conservation. So there's a lot more than kids actually realize, and we were trying to emphasize it's not just one sole thing. There's agriculture spans a wide variety of different areas, so we wanted to kind of let them know that it's actually pretty broad.
I will say too that 4-H is in the school systems too. And we don't have to. We offer programming to 5th grade, and that is face-to-face. We go in and offer standards-based programming to those students. And we also deliver it to Briarwood, which is great. Sarah and I have developed a relationship with some of the teachers at the high school. And we've come up with a program called LIFE, which is
Learning
important fundamentals through extension. And that's with the special education classroom. We wanted to do, since I'm 4-H and I'm family and consumer science, and she's ag, we just wanted to incorporate everything and give our all to those students that might not have gotten it. 4-H, our office sat vacant, this position sat vacant for a few years before I walked into it, and it just kind of died off. And then as soon as I came in, COVID hit, and Sarah came in during COVID, and so we got shut down again, and essentially are having to rebuild, and it's taken some time, and that's fine. I think people are finally figuring out, hey, 4-H is in the schools and 4-H is there, but like Sarah said, our job is to serve the community. And we develop programming on community needs. And if we don't know those needs, then we can't offer the programs. Sure. So we love to encourage people that, hey, we've actually had some individuals come to us about homesteading. Being the family consumer science, we can talk to people about how to can properly and home preservation and food preservation. It can literally go from farm to table in our office. So the easy way we tell people is 4-H deals with youth, family consumer science deals with things in the home, and agriculture and natural resources deals with things outside of the home.
Yeah, thank you for talking about that. And just hopefully, through this, maybe you guys can get the word out and let people know you're back with a
vengeance.
With a vengeance,
Yeah.
right? And people can contact you for those needs that come up.
So I know one of the things that as y'all are coming out of COVID, as you discussed, and you're reestablishing a lot of these programs in the community that you want to hear from people, hear what natural resource programs they may want, hear what home programs they may want. How do people contact y'all to let y'all know that?
Right, so they can contact us by our phone number that we've given out, or we actually have a survey on our website that you can click on and give us some feedback on what programs that you'd like to have in the office. Or I forgot to mention, we can also do programs out in the field too. So I try to make my programs as interactive as possible because nobody really likes to have somebody just sit there and listen to somebody talk. I try to make it a little bit more interactive. So if you think it's just going to be somebody sitting there talking to you, don't think that. We actually make things a little bit more interactive.
So I know I've got two I'll ask about specifically. One, you came to our Rotary Club. I'm a member of the local Rotary. You talked about soil.
Yes.
And now how does that soil program work?
So, the Rotary Club just asked me to come and talk about a topic. She was really into gardening, and I only had a short period of time, so we kind of had to narrow it down to a certain topic. And soil is kind of vital. If your soil is not where it needs to be, your plants aren't going to grow. So I thought it was important to kind of go over soil, everything, or not everything about soil, but brief topics on the soil to make people understand that without your soil being where it needs to be, good luck getting your flowers or your vegetables to grow.
And y'all have kits available for people to test their soil if need be.
Yes, that's correct. And we always recommend there's no bad time to test your soil. It's $10 a sample, and we have sample bags. And also, if you wanted to borrow one of our soil probes, we have those that you can check out, or it's really easy. You can use just a shovel or a hand trowel as well. You just go around. If, for example, your yard, you just do like a zigzag pattern going about 4 to 6 inches down. get the soil, put it in a bucket, mix that sample up so you can get a good representation of what your soil actually is. Put it in a bag. We send it off to the lab, and then within 7 to 10 business days, you get your results that show you what amendments you need to add to your soil for whatever you're growing. So if you're trying to grow blueberries, you're going to want a more acidic soil. So, and then if you're actually trying to get your grass to grow that's like centipede, it's going to need a higher pH. So depending on what you're growing, the results will be specific to what you're trying to grow.
Very cool. Very cool.
And also, I will say that our office can test for well water and pond water as well. We get a lot of calls on that, and Sarah's great about being able to direct people with which test they need to do. So we collect those samples, we send them off to a lab, and get those results back and send those out as well. So that's a service.
Yes, and we also do forage sampling too. So if you're kind of
So what is forage sampling?
Forage sampling is whatever the basically the grasses that your livestock is eating on. So your forage is either if it's the hay that they're eating, or like actually in the pasture when it's still alive. So forage is basically your hay. So you can have grass hay, you can also have legume hay, and all of those are going to be different with their nutrients. So forage testing is very important, especially with how expensive everything is. You want to make sure that you have good quality hay or forage. And just with hay, just because it looks good does not mean the quality of the hay is great. And just because it doesn't look great doesn't mean the quality isn't really good. So it's always important to test your forages.
See, I have no livestock. That's why I had no idea. That makes sense now. Okay.
But yeah, speaking of which, though, have you guys seen an uptick in questions about people growing their own food lately because of the cost?
Yes, I get quite a few calls about gardening. When's the best time to start planting? What grows here? Why is this not growing? My tomatoes have a cat face on them. What's causing the issues? So yes, definitely.
The Master Gardener program runs through y'all too, or is that?
Yes, it does. So not every county has a Master Gardeners program, but Richmond County and Columbia County both have the Master Gardeners program.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of those things I've heard over my life that I'll never attain, and I get that, but I know I've heard it.
I don't. I have a brown thumb.
I don't even have thumbs anymore. I think I'm past that.
Yeah, the Master Gardeners program actually, you train people with pretty much all aspects of gardening and landscaping and stuff like that. And then they actually are kind of sort of a subset of us too, because they actually help go out to the community and also help us teach classes on landscaping and gardening and stuff like that.
Yeah, my father had a green thumb, but he loved native plants and that kind of thing. And he certainly did not pass that to me. It's not even close. I got a lot from him, but that's not one of them.
I was going to say, Sarah's really great at identifying if somebody brings in plants that they think are believed to be diseased. She is great about being able to identify. And if she's not, we have wonderful specialists at the university level that we can send those pictures or samples to that can identify that as well. We've seen an uptick in that here recently too. And so Sarah's great at being able to do that as well. So I have to toot her own horn. She won't do it for herself.
I will also say, if you are going to bring me a sample, make sure it's more than just one leaf. You don't have to bring me the entire plant, but like a branch that actually has multiple leaves on it, because it's kind of difficult to identify certain plants with just one leaf. Some things are just completely identifiable with one leaf, but it's better to bring more than just one leaf.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I noticed that you guys have some egg candling classes. I don't know anything about that. Can you explain that? And apparently those classes fill up quickly, I hear. So just tell us about what those are.
So egg handling classes, for you to be able to sell eggs, in Georgia, you have to have an egg handling license. So if you're selling your eggs without an egg handling license, that's actually a big no-no. The Georgia Department of Ag actually does the classes. So what it does is it allows people to grade the eggs. If it's an A, a double A, a B or C, and then also be able to tell if there's anything wrong with the egg. So if it has any cracks, any micro cracks, if it's spoiled, it allows people to make sure that when they're selling those eggs, when people buy those eggs, they're not going to get sick from getting those eggs. So the egg handling license lasts. Once you get it, you don't have to get it renewed or anything like that. So once you get it, you've got it for life.
Right.
And the classes do fill up very quickly, and especially now with eggs being extremely expensive, I think that it might even get more popular. So we have 3 different classes. That is the 16th of February, one from 8 to 10, one from 10 to 12, and then another one from 2 to 4. So everybody comes in, the Georgia Department of Ag explains everything, and then they get tested, and then they also do actual egg handling to make sure that they understand the process.
So if those are not full and somebody would want to get into that, how would they do that?
They need to contact Tina Maples at tina.maples@agr.gov. They can also contact us by looking at our Facebook page or our website, and all the information is there as well. Or they can call our office at 706-595-1815.
Perfect. Thank you.
And tell us what your website is. I don't think we've covered that yet.
You should just be able to Google UGA extension McDuffie County, and it pulls up.
And I know like your website is a great place for people to go to learn about the upcoming activities you've got. I know in the coming months it's going to turn real busy for y'all, and everything from whatever local courses to new initiatives you're going to be offering. So that website, if you can Google it and find it, and that's a great place just to keep up with everything you got going. I know y'all even offer a newsletter. I get it, that comes to your email box that tells you, here's what we've got going on. Here's some other resources from across the state that you can access for questions and that sort of thing. So that's, y'all are doing a really good job of getting the word out there as you're emerging from COVID and trying to move forward.
Yes. And on that website, you will see that we need volunteers. We always need volunteers. So if you have a love for the community, you have a love for students, kids, we encourage you to please come into our office located at 337 Main Street. And we tell everybody it's really simple. It's just the old courthouse. Or we're in between the Methodist Church and the police station. We're on the first floor, and we're easy to find. We have signs everywhere once you get in there. We'll have to do a background check. That's just how it goes. We even had to do a background check to even have our position. But it'll take a few weeks, but we are always in need of those volunteers. And there's no greater way of showing your love for your community in McDuffie County than being a part of it through volunteer.
And if you're interested in signing up for that newsletter, you can find it on our website. You can sign up there.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you guys for coming on the podcast today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And thanks to all our listeners for logging on and tuning in. Keep looking for more ways like this we've talked about today to get involved with all the good things happening here in McDuffie County. By doing so, you help make your community a reflection of you.
That's a wrap on the 7th episode of the McDuffie Minute. So when you get a chance, take a minute and learn a little about McDuffie County.